Hey, Matt Henderson here, and this video is all about the acquisition of golf skill centric to the club head. Diving right into skill versus technique. Even if we have a technique present, good or bad, we might not be able to push the skill far enough along as to where I can't stop hitting it fat, or no matter what I try to do in my golf swing, my club face is still open and I hit it dramatically over here to the right. So in coaching aspects, we would make a technique change in that player. And it is after that technique change that we still need to come in and develop a skill or awareness in and around the club head or club face to really make that technique change work. And I hope that makes sense. So that's what this video is all about. We're putting ourselves in that light of, I've done something with my golf swing, hopefully in an educated way, hopefully with a coach, maybe with me. And now I'm just setting off trying to make myself a better golfer with this new technique. So the big four club head skills, or something centric to the club head, are going to be club head awareness, club face, point of contact, and a general understanding of the arc or the depth of said arc. And the rest of this video is going to be about going those in depth on each one of those, and we'll give drills. So stay tuned. First one that I really like to get into with my students after we've made some of these changes in our golf swing perhaps is just a general understanding about where the club head is. And let's get that understanding in relation to the ground. Now we could certainly be talking about what it feels like and where it is up here, but let's start to give ourselves that information around the ground. And what we would start to do is really just make golf swings. So we get whatever type of setup we're trying to get into, and we could really start it just this system of 3 swings where we're going to try to hit the ground too far before the ball, just right, somewhere around the ball, and then too far forward. And I like to call this Goldilocks, just like the 3 bears. So we have that situation where we're coming in and it's too far back, just right, and too far forward. And now if we come in and we would strike some sort of a ball in that light, and now that's where the game or the drill kind of starts of, you know, I felt like I kind of got that too far forward up in here, maybe a little thin feeling on the face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin that time, just kind of researching movement with myself. So again, always in maybe like a baseline of address, we're just researching that motion. There's too far back, here's just right. And of course I'm going to come in, I'm going to try to duplicate that just right scenario, and you can hear that one. It's much different, so we can use our auditory senses here, our feel in and around a mat. Maybe we are on turf and we can kind of see the actual turf interaction. A variety of ways we can interpret that, but let's make it really simple. We're just trying to learn where our club head is. But our second skill is going to be club face. And yes, club face would be maybe origined or attached to our club head, but we would talk about them differently when we're talking to golfers. And so club face is going to be primarily responsible for our starting direction. There's going to be some influence from path, perhaps, if you think of that way. Maybe some influence from angle of attack, if you think it that way. But primarily with face. So if we're in our net scenario, if we could kind of look through these things and be like, I'm going to take the M in ELLERMONT right here, and we could use that as a target line basis. And if we know that club face is primarily responsible for that starting direction, I would really just task us in this light of taking our baseline situations and just taking the intention of perhaps starting it to the right of the M. And so even in this net, we can start to see our general striking direction. I'm running a launch monitor here. You can see that one started to the right. And now on this one, we would play a game, perhaps we could call it right-left, of where I started one right on purpose. I'm going to try to start one left on purpose. And a key when we're doing these skill games is we don't want to change everything up. So what we're doing is I'm going to take the same address position that I have prior, and I'm going to keep all of my stuff the same, but I'm simply changing my intention of I want to hit this to the left of the M. I want to make it start to the left of the M. And so we can see it fly to the net there. Even just using this backyard situation where you know, I might not be able to see my ball flight, but I can definitely see that initial striking direction. Again, on the launch monitor, we can see it going to the left. If we're doing this in a range, we can see it. But we're just giving ourselves really a set of direct feedback. And the other thing is we're giving ourselves a series of kind of small wins. Hey, I purposely tried to start it to the right, I accomplished that. Purposely tried to start it to the left, I accomplished that. I'm learning and gaining understanding of where my club face is pointing. And the big thing, just to kind of reiterate this, is we're not trying to change or just reinvent the wheel in every one of these golf swings. We're really trying to take the things that we're working on in our technique and simply tasking ourselves with a very immediate task of trying to do something very specific, i.e. face in this case point. And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't get into point of contact. So where the golf ball is being struck on the face, paramountly important, especially with the driver. It's going to distribute the ball and tilt the spin axis so much differently. If we hit it in the toe, the heel, it's going to spin and launch totally different depending if we hit it low on the face or high on the face. And you know, we've all hopefully seen at this point maybe that we can get the foot powder. We're going to be using the launch monitor right here for our feedback, but we can easily get the Dr. Scholl's. We can spray our club head. We can gain that awareness or understanding of where it's hit on the face. We can play our quadrant games of we draw you know, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. We're trying to hit it in the quadrants. We can split it in our halves, so we can have a 50%. I'm going to try to hit it in the toe of the heel. There's different ways to run these things for our different playing levels. But if we come in and back to this idea of just normal baseline type setups, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do everything in my power with this golf swing to try to hit it on the toe. And let's take a look if we got it. Yeah, so we got the toe, and now I would come in and it just making these things number one specific, but making it very situational and random. Just giving ourselves this random set of practice. I'm going to come in with a heel. And that was deep heel, but we service the task. That one's the one where if we're in the net right here, thank goodness the net caught it. But if we're out on the range, it's probably going substantially not on the driving range, but we know that it was in the heel. So back to the small win. I know I accomplished exactly what I was trying to do. So that's halves. You can explore this with irons. It's really whatever we can do. So you can move through these games in different clubs. You can do this in different length swings. So like if I wanted to come in and add that randomized set of practice to this, if we want to go, okay, this is going to be toe and partial, we can kind of feel it come off of the toe. It doesn't feel real good. We can see it come off the toe right there. Any way that we can start to spice up our practice session, moving ourselves into very specific club-centric skills. Okay, the next up, depth of the arc. Depth of the arc. And it's an interesting, just to kind of give ourselves a visual, if we imagine our club and the bottom of it moving in an arc type shape. If that arc is too high relatively to our golf ball, we could perhaps go as far as missing it totally. And if that arc placement is pushed too low to the ground, we might have some sort of catastrophic failure around the impact area. So what we're imagining in this light is a situation where we're just trying to kind of give ourselves this feedback of where our club head is in space in that light of depth. So a little different. A lot of folks don't work on this. We could take it as an opportunity in our practice session to hit different golf clubs. I really enjoy a fairway metal on a high tee in this one, and a little bit scary to start there, so I don't know if I would necessarily start there. You might start, a good way is actually if you could just take wedges and tee them up about on a 1/2 inch tee. It's a great way to get a sense and understanding of where your club head is. If you hit it super high on the wedge, you'll feel it. There's no center of gravity up there, and if you hit it at the equator of the golf ball, you're going to know that the club head is quite high. The fairway metal one gets to be interesting because if my club head's too low, it's probably going to go immediately underneath the golf ball. I could perhaps even, get the doink, the proverbial doink mark on top of my club, or I could go over the top of it. But it's a tremendous way to gain a little bit of knowledge, and again, a little bit more on the advanced side with the fairway metal here. But if we take our motion, it's like, okay, I hit that directly in the center of this very shallow face golf club, so I've got a really high understanding of where my club head is. It's a tremendous way to start going through and understanding that, again, skill of arc depth. Thank you so much for watching. It's such a broad topic of this skill development. If you have questions or comments, please leave them below. And stop by matthendersongolf.com and check out all the instructional products that I offer.